Welcome everybody. We're going to cover a few extracts from our latest webinars for practitioners and masters about the body language exercises with our blink conversation technique in the streets. Let's first listen to the first clip where our student introduces the exercise to one of the participants in the streets.
Thank you for participating in this exercise.
Okay, you're welcome.
So like I just said, I will be not asking any questions, so you don't have got to respond, but I will try to read from micro-expressions and body language if something is true for you or not.
Okay.
We love to put all the theories to test that we teach during our body language courses, and that's why we love to go out into the streets and exercise with real-life participants who actually don't know about what's happening to them while our students exercise with them. And that's great material to analyze later in class to see what you can improve on your body language and micro-expressions reading skills. Let's listen to our student, how she speaks to those two persons, and let's focus on the woman here. And my question to you is, what are her preferences for holiday according to you?
While you are at a beachside holiday, where you've got the beach, you've got different cafes, I'm wondering whether you prefer a beach holiday, where you can sit on the beach, you have sun, you have cocktails, you have wine, relaxing, not doing very much, or going towards a more active holiday. Something that comes to mind perhaps is even a winter holiday, doing skiing in the Alps or somewhere in Europe. And between the two, I'm wondering whether it's the active holiday that you're going for or the beach relaxing holiday that you're going for.
Before we go to the solution, let's have a look at her facial reactions and her body language to the options that have been given to her by our students. First, we hear the option about going to the beach, and we see her nodding on this and a little smile, especially around the cocktails. You see a little smile appearing. Let's have a look.
You can sit on the beach, you have sun, you have cocktails, you have wine.
See this little smile here around cocktails. There are some micro expressions that she likes that. And then we have the active holiday. You see nodding as well. And let's see what happens next.
Something that comes to mind perhaps is even a winter holiday, doing skiing.
See her chin to the front, more nodding, a small smile appearing here.
In the Alps or somewhere.
See this little micro expression smile here. I'm not discussing all the little movements that we see, but the most important ones that give us an indication of what her preferences are. Let's replay that little smile here about mountains and Alps.
In the Alps or somewhere in.
So that was a little smile here that gives, combined with the nod and the eyes longer closed than during a blink, a confirmation that she likes skiing.
Europe.
And that little nod there also is an additional confirmation.
And between the two, I'm wondering whether it's the active.
And then our student gives once more similar options to make a difference between the active holiday and the beach holiday, which one they prefer more. That's one of the techniques she learned during the course.
Holiday that you're going for or the beach relaxing holiday that you're going for.
And you see her nodding more on the active holiday than on the beach holiday. So as a conclusion, let's listen if our student concludes well.
So in my mind,
Okay.
I think it's more of the skiing active holiday that you're going for versus the beach holiday,
Yeah.
even though you are here.
Yes.
Is that correct?
All right, conclusion confirmed, and it's correct. Good job. So this is a demonstration of the power of body language and micro-expressions with real-life persons who the least expect it. They don't know actually what's happening in detail. And that's putting the theories that you learn in class to the test, and which is a great experience to have because you can learn a lot from it. Now let's have a look at one of the next clips, and let's watch especially the man here. Let's leave the woman for now because that's a little bit more advanced, but let's focus just on the man, what his preferences are on the options presented by our student.
Moving on to food, some people are vegetarian and some people are meat eaters.
What do you think? Is he a vegetarian or is he a meat eater? Where do you see the biggest smile? Well, obviously with meat eater, you see the biggest smile. So from those options between vegetarian and meat eater, he prefers meat.
Okay, so I assume you're both meat eaters.
So he even says, was it that obvious? Yes, it was that obvious. Let's move on to the next blink conversation technique topic.
A lot of people like spicy foods. Some people prefer more neutrally based foods, so it's not burning the tongue too much. I would say that you go.
Again, here you see more confirmation on his face based on the micro expressions and the little nodding for non-spicy food.
With the less spicy type of option.
And this is a nice one that's upcoming right now. It's about who is the leader in the relationship. You will hear our students saying who takes the reins more in the relationship. So who takes the initiative, who is the leader. And have a look at his reaction.
Moving on to your relationship. So one individual often takes the reins more in decision making. The one is more dominant, the one makes more of the decisions, and the other one is quite happy to follow that person in whatever they make, whatever decisions they choose to go in.
And it's a really very cute reaction. Let's stick to the essence of what we see happening here. You see the man, like really big smile, trying to suppress his big smile at pressing his lips, and also dancing on his feet, like, ooh, yes, I'm the boss here, I'm the leader in this relationship. Also another indication is the way she looks at him. She looks at him for a longer time, 2 times. He looks also once at her, but she looks more time and in a different way to him. That gives us the indication and the confirmation that he's the one taking the decisions. Let's have a look at this little piece once more again.
One individual often takes the reins more in decision making. The one is more dominant, the one makes more of the decisions, and the other one is quite happy to follow that person in whatever they make, whatever decisions they choose to go in.
So you see the confirmation very clearly in his body language and on his face, and especially the cute dancing from one feet to the other confirms that he is the boss and the leader in this relationship. Let's move on to the next one. Sometimes when you go out into the streets, sometimes it's very, very obvious and it's very, very clear from 2 persons who leads more. For example, in this case,
there's somebody that is more active and there's somebody is more dominant. And
you see her pointing at him, so that's very easy body language. Let's see what we can see in one of the next clips. A really interesting one. Could be this one here. Let's have a look about who is the dominant and the initiative-taking person here.
similar. Sometimes you have somebody that is a little bit more dominant, okay, and a little bit, okay, and somebody that kind of say, oh, I would like to do that, and somebody else that is kind of following a bit more. So my assumption will be somebody that.
So what is interesting here in the first reaction of this man is that you see one of his lip corners going upward in contempt. Let me stop it for you to close up at the right moment.
Is a little bit more dominant.
See this little movement here? I'll replay it once more.
Somebody that is a little bit more dominant.
See this movement of this lip going upwards here? That's a sign of contempt superiority. Based only on this, you would think that he's the leader in the relationship. But then you see this.
Okay, and
Then you see surprise, eyebrows going upwards.
a little bit.
And eyelids going upwards. Surprise, maybe even a little bit of fear because it's quite strong reaction in the eyelids. And yeah, so that gives actually the opposite information. So conclusion, based on just a few things that we named here, and we don't look at the lady because we don't have much information there this time. But based on his mixed reaction of first a micro-expression of contempt, superiority, and then surprise, I would say that it's kind of mixed. They're also quite long in a marriage, so sometimes it's the one, sometimes it's the other. Let's have a look once more.
Very similar. Sometimes you have somebody that is a little bit more dominant, okay, and a little bit okay, and somebody that kind of say, oh, I would like to do that, and somebody else that is kind of following a bit more. So my assumption will
be what could have been better here is also to elaborate on the second option of who is following more, who takes less initiative. And that would give much more information from both of the persons, but especially from him. How he responds emotionally, what you can see on his face from microexpressions and body language, how he would respond to the information of being the follower, of not being the leader. If you would elaborate in this conversation more on that topic, that would be helpful to make a final decision who actually and in what kind of way who is the decision maker here. So this gives a really interesting insight that depending of how good you make your blink conversation technique statements, and depending how good you are in stimulating persons, the better information and the more accurate conclusions you get. Because the better you can stimulate and the better you can know how to stimulate emotionally the reptile brain and the emotional brain of the persons in an appropriate way to get the information you want and the answers on any question you want without even asking questions, because this is what the blink conversation technique is about, then when you're able to stimulate the persons better, you get much more accurate information. So in this case, it's a little bit undecided. We don't have enough information. But the lady, she summarizes it really well in one sentence, how this exercise went and what it was about.
So are you coming to the conclusions by looking at us as well and watching our body reactions?
Yes.
Are you? Yes.
Yes, so this is exactly what's happening. She is looking at them while speaking and making conclusions about their preferences. Now, we tried it also out with a large group like this. It's really difficult to watch the body language of all the persons, but still you can see some information. Now, the question here was also, to make it simple for this exercise, who is the leader of the group? And let's listen to the statements of our students and observe the reactions of the group well. And who do you think are the three most important or prominent leaders in this group?
Like to be on their own and be kind of just, just do their own thing and watch and not be part of the group. But when you think about the leader of the group, they're always the ones that are the loudest, that take up the most space, that make the most noise. And I think there's a few in the group, right, that are like that.
So here you get a lot of information, a few elements of social dynamics. So the leaders of the group probably will not stand on the outside in this case, in this kind of setting, in this kind of exercise, because when they're the leaders, they would be the first standing over here and they would be rather closer to the middle. And then also important information is to look at the feet, who is standing firm on the ground. Would this lady be the leader of the group with her feet like this, not grounded well, feet close to each other, rather direction inside, rather not. So we're looking more to the middle, and we're also looking at who looks at who when our student speaks about leading the group. Let's have a look once more.
Take up the most space.
So take up the most space. You see this smile here, this smile here. This is also a little bit suspicious.
They make the most noise.
But she looks at him when it's about taking up space and making a lot of noise.
I think there's a few in the group, right, that are
And he looks at him also.
like that.
And especially then she looks once more at him. So the conclusion in this case was that the two boys here, these two are the leaders of the group, and also the lady over here was chosen by the group as one of the leaders. She was standing earlier over here, but because her feet were close to each other and she was looking downwards, she wasn't showing so much leader body language. It wasn't very clear for us that she would be chosen as one of the prominent leaders. But maybe, you know, she's a different style, a subtle style of leader, this could be. But for sure, these two persons, the two boys here, respond very clearly on the stimulations about leadership. Let's have a look once more.
The group, they're always the ones that are the loudest, that take up the most space, that make the most noise.
Looking.
I think there's a few in the group, right, that are like that.
Looking more, and you see also a flash of contempt, superiority on his face. So yes, this is the confirmation on body language and micro-expression movements that who is the leader in the group. And you can apply this to everything. You can apply this to relationships, you can apply this to business, to negotiations, and by knowing how to read micro-expressions and body language, you can learn a lot more about dynamics between persons and a person, their personality themselves, if you know how to stimulate them well with the Blink conversation technique. If you'd like to find out more and if you'd like to learn the Blink conversation technique, join our practitioner or our master course or sign up for our free programs online.